The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's Centrix Ascend Friday Forum, where we'll be learning all about online booking. Also, apologies for the change in time. From now on, the webinars will be running at 12 o'clock PM Australian Eastern Standard Time, and I hope you'll all be able to make it still. As always, please feel free to ask any questions you may have throughout the webinar, and I'll answer them for you at the end. Also, I do apologise. I've had a little bit of a headset malfunction at the last minute, so let me know if there's anything you want me to clarify or go over if you have any issues hearing me at all. So in today's webinar, we'll be going through the value that online booking can add to your practice, along with some of the concerns that practices have when getting started with online booking. I'll also be going over all the changes you can make within online booking to tailor it for your particular practice needs, and you'll see just how easy it is for not only you, but for your patients too. Now, the very first thing I want to mention about Ascend Online Booking is that it's free. It actually comes included within the Ascend Standard Plan, so there are no startup or upfront costs involved at all. If you are watching this and you're not already on the standard plan, contact us and we'll do you a deal as a thank you for tuning in. Currently, we have around 20% of our Ascend practices actively using online booking. We have practices that have seen fantastic booking results to the tune of up to 50 new patient bookings made per month. That's 50 new patients in your door every month with no extra work done by the front reception staff whatsoever. We've also seen numbers of up to 100 existing and recare patients booking online monthly for their regular checkups. Now, if you had 100 patients booking online each month, instead of picking up the phone and giving you a call, that would save hours of time for the reception staff, meaning the reception staff will have more time to focus on the patients that are in the practice. In this day and age as well, with the growth of technology, many patients actually expect to be able to book online. As an example, if a patient starts getting a toothache late at night, let's say midnight, they might think to themselves, all right, I better get that checked out. The first thing they're likely to do is jump online and look for a nearby dental surgery and then take a look at their website. They find a nearby dental surgery and take a look at their contact page to see that in order to book an appointment, they need to call the surgery, and the hours are between 8 AM and 5 PM. What's the patient then likely to do? Yep, go back to Google and then look for another dentist. They'll find one with online booking and they'll make that appointment. All right, so the next thing I want to really cover is that I know a lot of practices do have some concerns regarding online booking. You can see some of the concerns and objections here on the screen, and I just want to go through exactly why you don't need to worry about any of these. So a common one is that licensing is too expensive. Of course, you don't need to worry about that in the case of Ascend. As I mentioned before, it's included in the standard Ascend package, so no licensing fees to worry about. Another common one is that practices feel they often have a lot less control over their appointment book, and also sometimes worry that they'll capture too many low value treatments. Within Ascend, this is absolutely not true, and you'll see why in just a moment, but you can fully tailor every single online booking slot to a specific day, time, provider, or appointment type. Another common worry is related to online booking creating too many duplicate patients. Ascend has an answer for that one as well, which I'll show you in just a moment. Another common one as well is that it may enable patients to possibly make some fake appointments online. Again, I'll show you in just a moment, but definitely is not possible because when a patient books in, you actually have to confirm it via the email address before it even goes into your scheduler. Now, for us and for dental practices, the main focus is, of course, on the patient. So to get us started, I actually want to demonstrate how easy the online booking process is from the patient's perspective. Wonderful. So I've actually just brought up our SOE dental tests online booking page just so I can show you exactly what a patient will go through on their end. So this is exactly how your online booking site would look. You'll have a link that we'll provide that just needs to be added in by your IT or whomever it is that looks after your practice, but I'll get more onto that later. You'll see the site is very intuitive and easy to navigate. There's the new or existing patient button at the top of the screen, and of course, just your practice details over on the right-hand side with your phone number and a little map to get there as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and hit new patient to begin. The very next step is you just need to select the reason for your appointment. So I might go ahead and choose routine exam cleaning. And then the next step is to select which provider you'd like to book with. If you don't have a preference on which provider, you can just leave it at any provider and it will book you in based on which time slot. So that's perfect, but I will just go ahead and select Stuart as an example. So we can see here all the booking availabilities specifically for Stuart for that particular appointment reason. What I'll go ahead and do now is just select a time slot. Let's go with Monday, June 24th at 9 a.m. So I'll select that. We just need to tick the I acknowledge and accept the terms of use, and then we can go ahead and enter in our patient information. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop in my first name, and then maybe I'll pop my last name as maybe Test, so we know it's a test patient. I'll just pop in a quick date of birth. Wonderful. Just pop in a fake mobile number, and I'll just go ahead and pop in my work email. Wonderful. There is also, of course, a box here to pop in any extra information or medical considerations. I'm not going to worry about that today. Once you finish that up, you just want to go ahead and hit verify. So the next screen here is it's prompting us to enter in a 4-digit code that we've received. So that's actually going to be sent to my email address. It will just take a moment or two. So I'll just wait for that to come through. Looks like that's come through. It might just be taking a moment to load. Let's try refreshing that. There we go. So we can see that my code here is 8126. So now that I've got that, I'm just going to swap back over to that verification page and enter in that code. So 8126. And then the next screen that comes up is that it's just waiting for the appointment to be confirmed by the practice. You don't actually have to do anything on the practice end, but this is just the point at which where the online booking site is essentially communicating with your practice scheduler and putting the appointment into your schedule. So we'll just wait a moment here, and we should see here that it's saying the appointment's confirmed. There we go. So now it says your appointment is scheduled, and we look forward to seeing from you. In about a couple minutes time as well, I will also receive an email just having the appointment confirmation with the day and time on it as well. So now that I've done that, I'm just going to flick back over to Ascend, and I just want to show you what it looks like in the scheduler. So we'll jump on over now, and we can actually see the appointment right here. So it's got Catrice Test, and you can see that it says new there, and it also has this little cloud here in the top left-hand corner. If you aren't already using online booking, this would be a little bit new to you. The cloud is what represents if it's being booked online or not. The other thing that's really helpful when it comes to Ascend is if we click onto that appointment as well, you can actually see that it's got a little message here saying that the patient has selected that they're a new patient, but it looks like you might already have that patient in the system under a different name or something like that. You can see here that it's picked up the email address being very similar, and because of that, it's suggested that perhaps I'm already a patient at this practice. So that definitely comes back to helping limit the number of duplicate patients when booking online, because you do actually have control, and Ascend will go ahead and let you know if there's a possible duplicate there. So if you did want to say, yep, that's the patient, they must have accidentally clicked new instead of existing, you can just click there to select that patient instead. Alternatively, you can search for a different patient or go ahead and create the new patient if you need to as well. So the next area that's really important, of course, is setting up and editing your online booking slots. So I want to show you how nice and easy that is. Now, to begin, you just want to go into settings up here. And then once you're in settings, you just want to go down to schedule template. Jump in there, and I'm just going to flick over to surgery 3. That's the one that I've been playing with a little bit. And this is where all your online booking slots live. So what I'll show you first is, of course, how you add in an online booking slot. So all you need to do is actually click to begin where you want the slot to start at. So let's say, for example, I want the slot to start at 9 a.m. on Fridays, and perhaps I want it to run through to 11. All you need to do is click your mouse where you want it to start, so 9 o'clock, and then drag down to 11 o'clock. So now that I've done that, I'm just going to release my mouse, and it's actually going to come up with a box here where you can enter in a little bit more information. So the first thing, of course, is you want to put in the title of that slot. So let's say, for example, I wanted this to be for emergency booking. So I might go ahead and just call that emergency as an example. You can then, of course, go ahead and choose a color. So I might go ahead and select red just so it stands out for us. Perfect. Next thing, you can go ahead and select which providers it is that you want to be able to be booked on this particular slot or on Fridays, for example. So, for example, if I have a provider here, Lee Fisher, and they don't work on Fridays, I would just want to make sure that they aren't selected here. In this case, I'll just go ahead and select Stuart. He works Fridays. He can definitely take some emergency appointments then. The next thing that you want to do as well is go ahead and select which type of patients can actually book this appointment slot online. So you have the choice of recare patients, new patients, and existing patients. Now, as this is an emergency slot, I might say, okay, I don't want recare patients booking in there, but new patients and existing patients, I do want them. So that's fine. I'll leave that. The next thing, of course, is which appointment reasons the patient can actually select from. So as it's an emergency appointment, I might select maybe broken or chipped tooth, discomfort and pain perhaps as well, and maybe problem with crown or bridge. Those are the 3 appointment reasons that can be selected from for this particular booking slot. So now that I've done that, I'll just, as an example, go ahead and get that saved, and that's been added in. So the next thing that's very helpful when it comes to putting together your online booking slots is taking use of the copy and paste function. So let's say every day from 9 to 11 you want to be available for emergency slots. All you need to do if you want to copy a slot is actually click on this little icon here in the right hand corner. You can see when you hover over it, it actually lets you know to copy the time slot. So if I click on that there, what it does is it actually copies it and it follows my mouse to wherever I go. So all I need to do is literally place it where I want it to be added to. So maybe I want it on Saturdays as well, for example. I might go ahead and place it there. Nice and easy. That's all there is to copy and pasting, and definitely makes life a little bit easier when it comes to putting your surgery appointment booking slots together. Now, if I draw your attention to this appointment reasons button up here, this is actually where you can add and edit any appointment reasons you might like to appear online. So it's as simple as hitting new appointment reason if you want to add one in as an example. You can also click onto one to edit it if you need to. But as an example, if we go ahead and hit new appointment reason, all we need to do is type in what we'd like the appointment reason to be, and of course, choose how long we'd like it to go for. So I might say, okay, we do have an emergency booking slot available, but I actually want an appointment reason called emergency as well. So I might go ahead and select emergency, and the duration of the appointment might be 60 minutes. I think that would be reasonable. And then all you need to do is hit save. And you can see that actually has added in there for us as well. Now, within the schedule template area, you'll also see that there are two buttons up here at the top, the Setup Progress button and the Book on Your website. So I'll just jump into the Setup Progress button here. Now, what this does is it actually gives you a little bit of an overview of how utilized your schedule is when it comes to online booking. So it can be a helpful thing to keep in mind when scheduling your online booking slots, just to see how much of it can be booked online, how many of your surgeries essentially have online booking slots, that kind of thing. Now, the other area here is the Book on Your website button as well. So I'll just click into there. Now, this is where you'll actually find the link for your online booking site. This is actually what you would want to provide to your IT provider or your web developer or whoever it is that's looking after your website. Provide to them so that they can add a button onto your website saying book online or book here, something along those lines, so the patient can just click there to go ahead and book online. There are, of course, a few different options. There's the URL, HTML, and iframe. Your IT provider would know exactly what to do with those, but this is where you access that. The other thing that this is handy for as well, of course, is you can go ahead and take a look at your online booking site yourself. So if you wanted to, you can go ahead and copy that, and then if you were to paste it into another browser, it would bring up your online booking site, so you can nice and easily take a look at it. That's exactly what I did before to show you how the patient books in. Perfect. Now, I want to mention as well is that, well, you may have noticed that when I was scheduling a slot, there is a checkbox for don't allow online bookings. Now, essentially, this sort of relates to perfect day scheduling, because not only can you schedule online booking appointment times, but you can also use this schedule template area to block out your appointment book for appointments booked via the phone or another method as well. So, as an example, let's say from 11 till 12, what you can do is maybe between that time period, you only want your reception staff to be booking in checkup and cleans. If that's what you're after, you would just want to set up a slot called perhaps checkup and clean. So maybe I'll set that up now. So maybe checkup and clean, select your color, of course, maybe we'll just do a little bit of a lighter blue. And then you just want to choose the type of appointment to be none, rather than recare new or existing patients. This means that it's not going to be an online booking slot, won't be available to book online, but I'll show you in a moment what it is useful for. I'll just select again Stuart as the provider. So I will go ahead and just get that saved. So what this is useful for is if we instead pop over to the schedule now, and I'll just flick over to perhaps a blank week just to make it a little bit easier to see. If we head up to View in the top right-hand corner, there is a little switch box here saying Show Template Time Slots. So I'm going to flick that on, and then I'm just going to go ahead and hit Done. And here you can actually see that it puts a little bit of an overlay of what your time slots currently are. It does have the online booking time slots as well, so it can be very useful just to know where patients can book online. But of course, it's also going to show exactly what that slot was, that I only want patients to be booked for checkup and clean. So the reception staff can use this sort of as a guide to make sure that they have particular appointments scheduled in particular times. So it can be very useful for that as well. A couple of things that are important to keep in mind when completing the schedule templating is that when you place large online booking slots, such as one that's for 4 hours in length, it doesn't mean that 4 1-hour appointment slots are going to appear online. AEST utilizes something called appointment stacking, which means that more appointment times become available as appointments are booked. So let's take this time slot, for example, on Wednesday. You can see that it runs from 9 a.m. all the way through till 3 p.m. with no breaks or separations. What this actually means is if we were going to jump online, although this is yesterday's date, but let's pretend we're jumping online to take a look, you would actually see an online booking slot only for 9 o'clock a.m. So let's say, for example, a patient will then go ahead and book in from 9 till 10 o'clock. So I might just bring up, if I have a test patient, I'll book it in for myself. Wonderful. So I've just booked in an appointment at 9 o'clock as an example. So now that there is essentially a time slot taken up there, what that would instead mean for the online booking is that instead of 9 o'clock, there'd actually be a slot available at 10 o'clock to book into next. Now, this also works when essentially booking in appointments in the middle of large blocks such as this. So if I were to, for example, from 11 till 12, there might be a staff meeting. So what I actually might do is create an event, and let's call this staff meeting as an example. So it's going to break up the appointment book, and I'll go ahead and get that one saved. You can see now that there's 2 appointments smack bang in the middle of this large online booking slot. What that is actually going to do is change the online booking availability again to one being available at 10 o'clock as before, but then there would actually also be another availability at 12 o'clock as well. So definitely something to keep in mind when you're putting in online booking slots, is if you do a large one such as that, you might want to break it up a little bit. But this works particularly well for how your availability appears online to possible patients as well. So no one likes seeing a practice that has 20 free appointments every day for 4 weeks. It will look like you don't have any patients. So this instead ensures that although you do have appointments available online, it also shows that you're busy and therefore often a preferred practice. One final thing I would also like to bring up is the fact that any changes to your online booking slots can take up to 24 hours to appear online. So just keep that in mind when you are making changes to your online booking slots. This isn't the case for appointments made. Of course, these appear instantly into the appointment book just to make sure there's no double bookings or anything like that. But specifically when you are changing up the actual slots available for each provider, that does take up to 24 hours. So just keep that in mind. Wonderful. So I'll go ahead and answer some of your questions now. If you do have any questions that you haven't sent through just yet, please go ahead and do that now, and we can definitely have a chat about that.
You finished? Awesome. That's all.
Hey, so we have had a question just in regards to someone experiencing some issues with double booking patients. Definitely something that we'd like to look into for you. So what I'll do is I'll organise for support to be in contact with you today, and we'll investigate your particular situation as soon as possible. All right, and that brings us to the end of this week's Friday Forum. If you are interested in getting online booking set up at your practice, just send a quick email through to ascend@softwareofexcellence.com and we'll be in contact with you to get this organised. This webinar, as well as all past webinars, will also be available online. So just jump through to our resource centre, which you can access directly from Ascend just by going to the help menu up at the top. And you'll find this webinar, past webinars, as well as a lot of other really helpful articles, and it's being added to all the time. I hope you found this week's webinar insightful, and don't forget to tune in next Friday at 12 o'clock. Thank you.